Love lives here.
We do. And here at Riverside Center for Spiritual Living this year, we are working with the theme of Live Your Best Life. And we are in our fall series, and our fall series is the series Thriving, and today we're talking about going with the flow. So when we talk about going with the flow, we're also talking about the law of least resistance, or the law of least effort. It's one of the 7 spiritual laws that Deepak Chopra has, the 7 spiritual laws of success. So it ties in perfectly with our thriving. So we're talking about the law of least resistance, or the law of least effort. We talked a little bit about it when we kicked off the series. Remember when I talked about relaxing more and trying less, right? That we can relax into life a little bit more and we try less. When we effort, we're actually like creating struggle. We're creating, and we're kind of using our power in it's a kind of an exhausting way of using our power, right? So today we are talking about going with the flow. Sound good? Yes. All right. Fantastic. So earlier this week when I sent out the email, I said, when it's a stormy day, birds aren't struggling. They're not, mad. They're not resisting the fact that there's a storm, right? They don't get together and complain, oh my gosh, the wind is so strong and it's so wet and I just can't take it. I don't know what we're going to do. Why is this going on? They don't blame other people, or they don't blame God. God, why did you do this? Why did you create a crazy storm today? Or, those humans, so mad at them right now because, we're having the storm because, they have to have plastic in their life. That is just the most stupid thing. They're not doing anything like that, right? They're not blaming. They're not trying to blame it on God. They're not trying to do anything like that. And then they're not trying to debate with each other as to who has the right way of fixing this storm, who can make it stop. They're not trying and efforting to control the storm. No, what do? They sit on a branch. So they either seek shelter or they fly above the storm. They respond to what is happening, as is their nature, being present with what is, and then they respond to it, they take action, and life continues on. They're in the flow, right? Birds don't try to be birds, they're birds. Fish don't try to be fish, they're fish. Flowers don't try to bloom, they just bloom. We, my beloveds, we are human beings. We are like the rest of nature, a divine emanation and impartation of spirit. Our divine nature is to be able to Our divine nature is to create. I'm going to stand really still at the moment. Going with the flow. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about today. Imagine that. All right, yeah, go ahead and bring it on up. I don't know what's going on. All right. One moment, please. Hello? Okay. Now with this microphone, I feel like Miss Jackson if you're nasty. So, set up or the get up. Okay. All right, how are we doing? Are we back to our regularly scheduled programming? Now, notice how I just went with the flow, right? I didn't get all mad. I didn't resist what was going on. I kind of accepted what it was. I looked at Jocelyn in a panic, go get Jason. She understood my eye contact, right? And here we are, right? So didn't have to futz and fiddle too terribly much. Okay. Ta-da. All right. What's that? Peace, poise. Yes, peace and poise. All right. So, going with the flow, our natural flow, or our natural way of being is to create. That is what we do naturally because we are a microcosm of the macrocosm. We also have individualized will, right? And so because we have individualized will, then we are unique in the animal kingdom and the natural world in that we can get in our own way. Oliver and Paisley do not get in their own way when it comes to bedtime. They do not get in their own way when it comes to eating, and they certainly don't get in their own way when Daddy gives them treats, right? So they're not going to get in their own way. However, we as human beings, we have the ability to get in our own way. And in fact, frequently, we choose to get in our own way, whether it is consciously or unconsciously. Because of all of the acculturalization, all of the socialization that we experience, and those choices that we make as children to save ourselves or protect ourselves or to try and get what we want, these become our beliefs, our patterns of believing, our patterns of thinking, and then they become our habits, and then this becomes our unconscious way of being, and then all of a sudden, we are in our way of really creating, and we're having to unlearn something. But beloveds, thriving is actually our natural state. It is our natural state to thrive. It is not our natural state to struggle. Therefore, really, thriving is infinitely easier than struggling. Thriving is infinitely easier than struggling. Because if we go with the flow, we're in the flow, and what I'm talking about being in the flow is the capital F flow. When we are in the flow, then we are in with, and we are walking with, and we are embodying those divine qualities of spirit, one being flow. And flow is being in harmony. It is divine right order. Flow is divine right action. Flow is ease. That is our natural state, because what are we truly? We are spirit made manifest. Spirit's natural order, the nature and nature's natural order, the universe's natural order is harmony, flow, ease, creativity, right? Divine right order, divine right action. However, we think we know better sometimes, don't we? Right? And so where we get tripped up and where we begin to struggle is when we think we have to do it all on our own. That we think the little selves, our little selves, are the ones needing to make the decisions, are the ones needing to make things happen, are the ones that are needing to take action. That's where we get tripped up. That's where we start to struggle. So we get in our own way because of those beliefs. We get in our own way because of those commitments that we've made. Commitments like, oh, things have to be hard, right? Commitments or things like, oh, life is difficult. And I affirm that life is difficult. And then what's life going to do? It's going to be difficult, because that's what we're affirming, right? Affirming that life is difficult. Or I have to fight to get what I want. I have to scrap and beg and borrow and, really effort to get what I want, because there's not enough to go around. And because there's not enough to go around, I got to make sure that I get mine before you get yours, because there's not enough, right? And so it leads to separation. It leads to the feeling that we need to struggle, that we are constantly in a battle, we are constantly struggling. Our language talks about battles, our language talks about war. The war on cancer, I'm fighting cancer, I'm fighting this, I'm doing that, It's very aggressive, our language and our languaging, filled with words of struggle, filled with words of effort, filled with words of challenge, right? But that's because we have forgotten, and we've forgotten that we're one. We're forgotten that we're one with the one. We're forgotten that we're a unified whole, that each of us is an individualized expression of the one. We've forgotten that. And so then we start moving from this sense of small space, and our internal point of reference becomes the small self, little s self, right? It becomes this internal space, this small self, thinking that we have to know, we have to do. And when we get into that, then what happens when we're moving from that space? We're seeking power. We seek control. We seek approval, right? Controlling ourselves, controlling our neighbors, controlling our environment, controlling the country, controlling the world, getting approval from our fan base, right? Trying to gain more power, trying to gain more money, and we kind of stop at nothing to do that. Some of us are malignant in that way, right? We see it on the news all the time. You see it in the state of politics in this country right now. You see it in the state of the war in Israel and Hamas, and over 2 million innocent people caught in the crossfire between people, others. We're like, I'll show you. Right? We see it in Maine with the individual that killed 18 people in a bowling alley and a bar. We see it easily in the world where people have forgotten who they are, people have forgotten themselves, and they're coming from this place of the small self, they're coming from the place of limitation, coming from the place of lack, and therefore feeling the need that they are owed and they want and they need, so I'm going to take before you take from me. And so this creates this struggle, and isn't that so much more difficult than if we all loved each other? Than if we all came from the place of spirit and recognizing it is so much more difficult. It is so much more expensive. There is so much more energy expended and wasted in conflict with one another than there is in sitting down at a table together and having a conversation and coming from a place of love, coming from a place of compassion, coming from a place of open listening, a place of curiosity. And so when we get into this state where we're feeling the separation, we're actually cutting off the flow. We're cutting off the flow. Life is flowing, spirit is flowing, love is flowing, everything's flowing. But when we get into this state of separation, then we kink the hose. We cut off the flow. Not just financially, but energetically. We're cutting off the flow, right? And anytime we are struggling against the moment or struggling against the situation, we're struggling against the universe. Think about that. If you're struggling against a friend or a family member, what you're really struggling against is the entire universe. Good God, that is exhausting. Think of how big that is. You think it's just a little tiff with your honey. Oh, no. You are in conflict with your own nature. You are in conflict with the who of who you are. You are in conflict with the entire universe. Are you going to win that? We had one person go, yes. In jest, of course. We know that was in jest. Right? There's no way. There's no way. Good grief. I mean, come on. Let's think about it this way, too. Water flows, right, in the path of least resistance. It doesn't look at the mountain and go, ooh, there's Mount Rubidoux. All right. I'm going to run up Mount Rubidoux, right? Water's not going to go rushing right up Mount Rubidoux because, like, oh, that way seems easier or more fun or more interesting. No. The Santa Ana River runs right by Rubidoux, right, in its own riverbed, just cruising on by saying, hi, I see you as an obstacle. That's okay. I'm headed to the Pacific Ocean, right? I got my destination. I know where I'm headed. It's not trying and efforting to climb Mount Rubidoux or anything else, right? It just flows. It's not choosing the path of resistance because nature's function is to flow with ease and effortlessness. Ease and effortlessness. It's going to take the least effort. It's going to expend the least amount of energy. So just like water, energy flows where there is the least resistance to it, right? When we block the energy, right, if we're not allowing it to flow, we're blocking it somehow, we're expending a lot of energy. We're expending a lot of time and effort and energy, and we get tired. However, when we take actions that are motivated by love, when are motivated by the good of all, when we take actions that are in alignment with that, then what happens? We use a heck of a lot less energy because love is back of all things. So we're not using as much energy. We're not expending the energy that we would otherwise be expending, and which means that we have more energy to do what? Create more love, to create more of that which we are in alignment with, to create affluence. Affluence, remember, means to flow to. We create more affluence. We create more evolution. We move forward. Remember, evolution moves forward. And why we say, and we move love forward is because when you look at the word evolution, the first four letters are what? EVOL. Flip it. Love. Love is evolution. Love is evolutionary. Love moves things forward. So, if we approach this, then we are approaching it from a place of love. We are approaching it from being in the flow, being one with one another. And so, our internal reference, being spirit, I don't know what happened there. Momentito. It's more going with the flow today with technology. Come on. So when we are referenced, when our point of reference is spirit rather than the small sense of self, when our point of reference is spirit, then we don't have to worry about challenges and being worried about challenges. We don't have to try and fight and struggle. We become immune to the criticisms of other people, and we begin to go with the flow. And when we harness the power of love, what happens? When we harness the power of love, what happens? Everything flows. We evolve. We do it through the transformative power of love, right? It's the transformative power of love. We transform. We evolve. It's the transformative power of love when we're in the flow. We are stepping into that transformative power of love that we affirm in our focus statement every single week. That is the river that we are stepping into. So, to go with the flow, first we need to accept what is. All right? To go with the flow, we just simply accept what is. All right? We accept that today we have Santa Ana winds. Okay, fine. Not going to be mad at it, not going to struggle against it, not going to fight with it, none of that. We're just going to accept what is. We're not finding anything wrong with it. We accept what is. Then, when we accept what is as it is, whether it be a person, a situation, an event, or a circumstance, when we accept what is, then we move into a place of being or having a response ability, meaning the ability to respond. And how do we respond? We have the ability to respond creatively. We have the ability to respond because now we've taken a pause and we're now curious about the opportunities, because within every problem, there is the opportunity for something new and beautiful to come out of that opportunity. So we accept, then we take responsibility for our life, we take responsibility for how we're feeling, we take responsibility and we respond with our ability, and then we don't get caught up in our limited thinking. We don't try and defend our position. We don't argue for our limitations, right? Okay, so the wind blew over the plant this morning. All right, I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to put it in a place where the wind can't continue to blow it over and damage it. And then once the wind is over, then I will take a look at the plant and see what needs to be pruned off to make sure that it's healthy. And then maybe in the future, I will move that plant to a different place where it would not be affected by the wind anymore. Rather than, damn it, right? The wind blew over the plant. There's mess all over. I got to get to the center. What am I going to do? The plant looks terrible now. It's ruined. Right? Wah, 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 wah. Right? The plant's not ruined. It just looks a little different than it did yesterday. The plant's still going to do what the plant does. The plant isn't concerned that it blew over, right? It's fine. The plant's fine. But the reaction is different. Two different types of reaction, right? So I want to share with you something that happened this week. Martha, is it okay if I share a story? You're okay? All right, just want to make sure, because I didn't get a chance to ask you before, so I'm asking you now. All right. No pressure. So 2 Sundays ago, Martha was in the parking lot. She was getting ready to leave, and there was a woman who had pulled into the parking lot, and Martha was one of the last ones to leave that Sunday. And there was a woman who had already pulled into the parking lot. She saw the sign on the outside of the building saying for sale. She pulled in, and she didn't see anybody, and so she came down, and she did a U-E, and she was going out the parking, and Spirit told her, her words, Spirit told her, you know what, turn back around. So she turned back around, and lo and behold, there's Martha. And she asked Martha about the building being up for sale. And Martha said, you know, I don't know too much about that, but I will find out for you. Let me have your name and number, your contact information, and I will follow up, and I will find out for you. Martha called me on Monday and came in and met with me on Monday and said, hey, there is this woman who might be interested in purchasing the building. It sounds like they're kind of ready to go. Can you tell me more about the purchase of the building, what have you? And so Martha and I had a great conversation about the sale of the building. And Martha went back and contacted this person. And Martha came up last week when we were across the way in our meeting, in our conversation about our community conversation about the financial state of the center, et cetera, and how we as a community can step up and support our community, our family, right? So Martha comes up after, and she says, okay, Rev, they're not ready to purchase, but who do I talk to about renting the building because they're interested in renting? And so I said, okay, so you need to talk to Trisha. I said, Trisha is the keeper of everything like that, so talk to Trisha. And so the next day, Martha talked to Trisha and shared and relayed the information back. The woman, Sonia, called Trisha, swung by, had a really good conversation with Trisha, and gave Trisha a gift card to Starbucks because it was just a great conversation. And then on Thursday, came back and signed to rent part of our building. She's going to be renting a couple rooms downstairs because she's a teacher. She's a special ed teacher who tutors math and science for special ed kids in the afternoons. And her business partner is a tutor that tutors dyslexic kids and adults during the day. And so they are now part of our family. And they were so wonderful. I mean, they were just like, she's like, okay, we're with you. You know, they were like, we're with you. We are all in, because they had been kicked out of where they were leaving, where they were moving from. The one said, you know, I don't move until Spirit pulls the rug out from under my feet. You know, I don't move. And sure enough, boom, I was holding on to that one last loop of that rug, and this, boom, it was gone, right? And so then they found their home here. But what this is this is a beautiful way, this is a beautiful expression and demonstration of being in the flow, right? There was something that woman heard, that Sonia heard, was like, wait, turn around. And she met Martha. And Martha said, hey, okay, let me follow through. Let me just ask. Okay, that's not going to work, so let me follow through again, and let me ask this question again. You know what? Let's pair it together, because Martha was in the flow. Martha was paying attention to what was happening in the moment. She was 100% present, accepting what was. She took responsibility for not only herself, but for our community, because this is whose community? Our community, and it's Martha's community. So she took responsibility for the community, knowing what the situation is, and she was open to the possibility of flow. She was open to the possibility of change. She was open to the possibility of something greater, something new, something beautiful. Now we have this group with us, these two teachers with us, who are so excited, who are going to impact, who are already impacting so many lives, and our community is impacting these lives too, because Martha took the time to just listen to Spirit and say, yeah, sure, let me follow up on that. Took responsibility and was open to possibility. That's the way things flow. So thank you, Martha. Thank you. I mean, it was such a beautiful, Trish and I were in tears on Thursday. The other folks were in tears on Thursday. And it was tears of joy. You know, it's tears of joy because it opened things up. It just opened up. It just opened up so beautifully. So if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling right? If you're feeling yuck about a situation or a person or anything like that, you're not actually feeling yuck about a person, a situation, or a circumstance. You're feeling yuck about what you're feeling. It's not the person that you're feeling yuck about, it's your feelings that are making you feel yucky. So guess who has responsibility? Guess who can change their feelings? Guess who can change their thoughts? We can, right? I can change my thoughts. I can change my feelings. I have control. I get to take responsibility for how I'm going to respond rather than react. I get to take responsibility of how I'm going to see a situation with possibility, and I don't have to defend my limitations. If Martha had said, you know, it's really hard. I don't know if this is going to work for you. You know, yeah. You know, you can try calling the office, right? You can go to the website and find out. She did go to the website, by the way. But you can try calling the office, right? Just kind of like, you know, not taking responsibility and just like being in that place of limitation, right? In that place of closed down. If she had done that, these two women and all the people they serve would not be part of our larger family now. And they are. And what I loved is they know that we're selling the building, and they're okay. They're like, all right, so we're going to set up this right now, and then when you move, we want to go with you. Because we already can tell what kind of community this is, and we want in. We want to be part of it. We love what you're doing here. We love who you are. It's that easy. It's that easy. So this week, my beloveds, remember that flow and thriving are the natural order of things. It is harder to struggle. It is harder to blow those people off than it is to be nice. Right? It's harder to struggle. So, beloveds, get out of your way this week. Accept what is, take responsibility for it, and be open to the possibility of something greater. In other words, go with the flow. And so it is. All right. So I invite our practitioners and our core council members to please stand and surround the sanctuary. And as they do, I remind you that these beloveds are in prayer for this community, your community, our community, every single day. And if you would like prayer, make sure you go to the prayer room after we are complete here at Riverside Thrive. Go into the prayer room and see Constance, and she'll be happy to pray with you today. So, all right. So, I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you to do so. And breathe in. And feeling the breath, feeling the flow, feeling the breath flow through you, feeling the breath maintaining and sustaining you. This breath, this flow is the flow of the divine. It is love. It is joy. It is peace. It is harmony. It is Spirit itself that is flowing in and through and as you right this very moment, in, through, and as me, in, through, and as all of life and all of creation, because there is only this one life, there is only this one love, and it is forever expressing itself, being itself, flowing in divine right order, in divine right action, in absolute perfect harmony, in ease. And so I know that this is my true nature. My true nature is flow and ease and effortlessness. There is nothing to struggle against. And as I know that this is true of me, I know that this is true of everyone gathered here this day. I know that this is true of our beloved community. There is no challenge too great. There is no effort. There is no struggle that we cannot overcome by simply allowing it to fall to the wayside and be open to greater possibilities, to accept what is, and that what is ising, and what is always for our highest and best good, accepting that, and then being open and receptive to the response that we take. And so we take the ability, we have the ability to respond because we are responding from that place of love, from that place of divine wisdom, from that place of infinite love, intelligence that is operating in, through, and as each one of us. We tap into that, and that is what responds to what is needed, responds to the moment. And we simply get out of the way and we go with the flow, allowing it to respond through us. And so we are open to a greater possibility than our limited ideas, our limited minds could think of, our individualized minds could think of, because our individualized minds are one with the divine mind, the great mind, the one mind. And so all that is in the great mind, that infinite intelligence, is present right here where we are now. We avail ourselves of it. We allow it to guide, allow it to show the way. And we say yes, we get out of our own way, get our bloating nothingness out of our own way, and we allow Spirit to have its way. And so I know that this, or something better, this moment is absolutely perfect just as it is. That everything that led up to this moment led up to this perfect now moment. For there are no mistakes. There simply is flow. And so any obstacles or blockages or struggles that have stood in the way, we simply allow them to fall to the wayside now. And we step into the flow of life, into the flow of love, and we thrive. We thrive together. And so I give thanks for it. Awash in the love, awash in the glory, awash in the joy. I let it be, and so it is.